it's Murphy. This is my channel, Murphy's Every Whim, where I talk about books. I love to talk about books. What else do I love? I love He Who Caters to My Every Whim. I love cheese. I love swimming. I think that's enough for today. I'll save some more loves for later. But as I said in the past, if I use the word love, it's not, I love everything. I have to really enjoy something, like it, treasure it, value it, to love it. And I love books. So today, it's afternoon. As almost always, it is sunny. It is warm in the house. We tend to keep the house a little on the warm side. And I plan to practice some golf later because I have a tournament coming up that I'm a little worried about embarrassing myself. Probably will still embarrass myself even if I practice, but I need to get out and do some practice. Today I want to talk about the Alaska book haul. The first place I want to talk about is Forget-Me-Not Books, which is in Fairbanks, and it is run by the Literacy Council. And they have a nice little used bookstore. It's not curated, I don't think. But right now, at the time that we were there, they were not taking donations because they only have so much space. But they said they were going to start taking donations again in a couple of weeks. So I haven't been there that I've really seen a repeat of books, so they must have a fairly good turnover, but I'm only there probably every 2 years. And I wish I had known about them before. Fairbanks used to have a fabulous used and new bookstore called Gulliver's, but that went out of business. And so Forget-Me-Not Books is a good substitute. I only got one book at Forget-Me-Not Books. I went to the section that had mass market paperbacks and was really looking for something that I could read during Garb August. And I don't think The Dirty Dozen by E.M. Nathanson would qualify for Garb August because it doesn't fit into sort of the 200 pages or less trashy book option. But it was a literary guild selection. So I don't know if being a literary guild selection is something that would be done specifically to sell books. I think this was a very popular book at the time. There's the movie, of course, but it's a little on the gritty, raunchy side, which I kind of like. I also went to Value Village in Fairbanks, which is a thrift shop. But when I got back from Alaska, I told He Who Caters to My Every Whim, HWC for short, that the thrift stores and garage sales, yard sales were so much better in Fairbanks, and he asked me why. And I came up with a reason, and that is because there's a much more transient population there. There are seasonal workers, there are a lot of military, the university is fairly big, people come and go all the time, and so there are a lot of moving sales, a lot of people just donating everything to the thrift stores. And so there's really good stuff and a lot of stuff at the thrift stores and garage sales. And so I actually find their selection of books, which is of course not curated at all, much more interesting than the ones at Forget-Me-Not Books. It's not a larger collection, but it is more diverse. And so this is what I got there. I told my sister I'd never read any of Roald Dahl, and so she got me 3 books, The BFG, The Wondrous Story of Henry Sugar, and 6 more stories, and then Matilde. And so I'm eager to read these sometime. I will then donate them somewhere else. There's a couple of small free libraries in town where I live, and so I might go put them in there. The Stone Raft by José Saramago, and this was the 1998 Nobel Prize for Literature. This was an award-winning book, and the story is that Portugal breaks off and floats out to sea. And so the story is about the people on, I believe, in Spain and Portugal when this happened and what their reaction was to that. It's a translation from the Portuguese, and so it sounds intriguing and should be good. Licorice by Abby Frucht, and this is a novel, and I don't really know very much about it. And then finally a graphic memoir, and they call this Enemy by George Takai. And I know that he helped produce and act in a musical about his family's experience in the internment camps. And so my guess is this is a graphic novel version of that. And for that reason, it's George Takai. It's about World War II injustices, and it's a graphic novel. What's not to like? Then finally, I made a haul from my sister's book collection. So we do trade books back and forth. One of the things I had my sister do when I was there was to go through her list of books that she has on, I believe it's on audible.com, and to tell me about each one and why I should read them. And I don't really talk about this when I'm doing YouTube videos, but I also have a blog. And I asked her where she gets ideas for books, and she says, well, I go on to Murphy's Reads, her blog posts, and that's where I get ideas, just in a sort of sarcastic voice. But anyway, we trade books, we trade ideas about books, and these are books that I brought home. These aren't all the books I brought home, just some. One is Hatchet by Gary Paulsen, and this is a survival story, and it's a young reader's book. It's a chapter book. I'm not sure what age group specifically, but my sister said it was good. The Middle Five, and this is Indian Schoolboys of the Omaha Tribe by Francis LaFlesche. And Francis LaFlesche was a member of the Omaha Tribe, and he went to a mission school next to his town. So he wasn't a boarding student. He didn't board all the time. He was allowed to go home on the weekends. But it was a mission school, and it had boys and girls in it, but mostly he talks about the boys and their relationships with the teachers and the headmaster, and actually with the building they're in, because the building has a lot of spiritual significance to him and his schoolmates. So it's the story, his memoir. He went to this school in somewhere in the 1860s, and he wrote the memoir in 1900. And it's kind of fun. I thought it would be more tragic, and maybe it will be, but it's really just about relationships. And for that reason, it's really good, and I'm about halfway through this. And then finally, Linda Greenlaw's The Hungry Ocean. This was a book that she wrote. This is a memoir of a 30-day sword fishing trip where she captained the ship that went out to fish. And she was prompted to write this by Sebastian Junger, who wrote The Perfect Storm. And Linda Greenlaw is a character in The Perfect Storm. A book that I don't have with me that I actually did partially read while I was visiting my sister in Alaska is Slipknot, also by Linda Greenlaw. And this is the first of 4 books in a series of murder mysteries, cozy mysteries. And I am enjoying Greenlaw's memoir, but I did not get past page 50 of her mystery. And I saw some bad reviews about it afterwards. I like to go and find out, or were my ideas of how bad the writing was, were they common or not? And they were common. I don't know if the writing improved over the series of 4 books, but I don't need to finish Slipknot. So that's one reason it didn't come home with me. All right, so those are the books that I brought home from Alaska on this trip in July, where I spent 3 weeks with my sister and her family. The reason there's such a variety of books from her place, for instance, memoirs, and she has adult fiction, young adult fiction, chapter books, kids books, baby books, picture books, is because her entire family comes there, and they, range in age from, right now, 4 to 71. So she needs books of all types to keep people entertained, because sometimes when it's rainy at fish camp, there's not a whole lot to do but sit in the cabin. And if you're not willing to play a game, then you might as well read. All right, so that's my haul from Alaska. I'm heading out to Tampa, Florida for a couple of days, and I'm going to see if I can go to a used bookstore there. And if so, I'll be back with another book haul. And take care. I'll see you next time.